The Rams just shocked the NFL. Ty Simpson helped turn Los Angeles into a rookie-powered wrecking machine, leaving the Chiefs stunned and the league on red alert. This wasn't a debut, it was a warning.
They ran it right, they ran it left, and he showed great mobility. Looked like he was really comfortable throwing on the run. And then what that does as a quarterback is that settles you in. And now I can sit in the pocket. I got a couple completions under my belt. I can go out there and rip it in Arrowhead. I don't feel like I'm going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, and this is just a daunting task. That's a beautiful throw. That's a great read. Corner fell off. I mean, this kid, he looked the part, yeah. I mean, they're going to be in good hands. It's really interesting and unique. You know, you kind of joked about it, like, okay, they picked him at 13. This is really high for a guy. No one's ever drafted a quarterback, at least with Sean McVay, this high. But I could see why. They're not going to have this pick again. So I think it's great. Get this kid in there. There's no pressure to play him. Get him out there on the boots. Let him sit there in the pocket and make some throws. Thought he looked fantastic.
And by the way, that selection came before that addition of, who's that defensive guy that's really
Oh, yeah,
talented?
that's right.
Yeah, Myles Garrett. So, once again,
they're fine.
I do think, because everyone's like, well, you know, they were knocking on the door. Could have been a Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
Why don't you take the 13th overall pick and get you a guy that can help you right now? Turns out they were able to do both. Future
glaring holes.
So.
And they grabbed two corners from Kansas. They're going to be fine. They're just fine.
Watson and McDuffie, my God.
But that was only the beginning. The real shock came when Ty Simpson faced the moment himself and showed why the Rams may have something far more dangerous than a rookie.
How are y'all? It felt great. Felt great.
Felt like you got, I mean, understandably so, it's your first NFL game. Felt like you got comfortable as the game went on. Is that how you read it?
Yeah, no doubt. I definitely felt more comfortable than I ever had in a game, but I also didn't know what to expect. First NFL game, first live NFL, against NFL teams. But once that first drive kind of got done with, I was like, all right, this is just like playing in the backyard in Martin. But guys did a great job. So happy for our team, and on to next week.
Did you know going in you were going to go in the third series, or what was the plan?
Yeah, I knew pretty quickly that I was going to go in. They communicated that with us, me and Stetson, and I just was making sure I was ready to go at all times.
There's a great infrastructure around here, and it kind of leads to a quarterback-friendly type of a system. I think you would agree with that probably. Do you feel that in the game, like when those plays are coming in and the type of plays that you guys are running, that this is perfect?
Absolutely. It starts from the top, starts with Sean. Nate and the offensive staff did a great job. But also credit to the guys of understanding our game plan, understanding where to line up, and kind of our separators, as we can call it there on offense, how we can separate from the other team. And they, hit them all on the head. And that was our, big thing going into the game of just hitting our separators. And I think we, did a really good job in that. And that's what kind of, led us to, get points on the board.
That play early, the snap was high and to your right. Kind of didn't make a bad play worse. But can you take us through kind of what happened on that play and what you're thinking was?
We had a pass play called, of course, but it was a high and hot snap, and just kind of got to handle it down. Last thing you want to do is try to do too much and turn the ball over and get points for the other team. We have a great punter in Ethan Evans and a great special teams unit, and our defense was playing great. So hey, just throw it out of bounds, punt the ball. Any drive that ends with a kick is a good drive. So that's what I kind of take into the game. Yeah, my mindset doesn't change at all. I'm still going to, try to prepare like I'm going to play because you never know what happens. I say that all the time, just because of, past experiences with me. If anything, right, like I'm trying to soak up as much knowledge as I can. And what better guy to do it from than, Matthew. So, I'm going to try to prepare as best I can and make sure, I ask, all the questions that I need to go in there and have confidence because, if his helmet snaps off or something happens, right, I got to go in there, execute, and make sure that our offense doesn't, take a dip.
And just when the pressure seemed to be rising, Ty revealed something even bigger. His own words exposed how quickly this NFL moment started changing everything.
And then I thought Ty had great command all day. He was able to get through good progressions, got a lot of different guys involved. I thought, he and Nate were really in sync. Were able to move the launch point. I thought the line did a really good job, especially in some of those later drives that ended up leading to touchdowns, where he had good protection, where he was able to get through some progressions. And that the one sequence where we got the defensive stop, have a big return by Xavier Smith, and then ultimately we're able to hit Dean Connors on the screen. I thought that was kind of the momentum flip of the game, but man, it was really cool to be able to see so many guys step up and do a nice job, and excited for them.
Settled in the way Ty did and started getting better and
Yeah.
more confident, driving the ball a little more downfield. What does that tell you about him, and in terms of the moment not being too big for him, and then also just settling in?
I think all of those things that you really just asked with the question, Vinny, kind of answers it itself, where he really settled in, did a great job. I think it's a tremendous credit to, just the way that he's worked. Dave Ragone does such a great job with that room as a whole, and obviously Matthew's leadership. And I thought Nate really did a nice job of putting him in a lot of good spots that accentuate his skill sets. But the other 10 guys around him were able to do their job. We were able to kind of sustain, get some first downs, be efficient on early downs that allows some other stuff. And you kind of have that, good balance. And Nate stayed aggressive on the early downs, which gave Ty an opportunity to deliver. And he did that. But very pleased with him. And it's a real credit to a lot of good work. And whether today went really great or whether it was a, great learning opportunity, we continue to move forward. But I thought it was a great step in the right direction for him. Very happy for him.
There's a decision that's officially been made on a backup quarterback, but does this change anything?
We continue to evaluate. I think really you have to be considerate of what kind of situations was he placed in, and I thought with the circumstances that he was placed in, he did a nice job with those parameters. Obviously, Ty had the majority of the game, got 25 attempts to be able to throw the football, but I thought he did a really good job, overall, and I thought Stetson with what he had. So we're going to continue to evaluate it like anything else, but it was fun to be able to see, live football, see how guys handled it. I thought he took what the defense gave him. I thought he read the plays out, read with his feet. I thought he did a really good job overall. And I thought even on some of the keepers where maybe the primary isn't there, he attacks with the ball up. Even on the first one that he had where he ends up finding Max Clare on kind of the late down flat, but hit a couple low crossing routes. And I thought he kept the ball in play. That's the biggest thing is keeping the ball in play. There was one situation that we'll have a great learning op on a third down where, they kind of played a man coverage. We ended up throwing it to the flat to Max Clare. I got to see, I think the pocket might have allowed him to be able to progress, but otherwise it was a really good day for him. He just felt like he was in good command, and it was cool to see a good smile on his face.
Early on, there was a high snap that he kind of made a pretty nice play on it.
Yeah.
To make sure that it didn't turn into a bad play. What were your thoughts?
That's what I said. I said, way to not make a bad play worse. I couldn't exactly see where that hit him, but it was the first third down that he's in. That was right before he had hit a good job, finding Max Clare on that keeper that I was kind of just mentioning. But sometimes the best play is being able to just throw it away and bring the kicking unit on to be able to punt it away. And I thought, that was a good illustration. I thought he made good, smart decisions. We always talk about decision, timing, and accuracy, and I thought that was on display. And I think the protection allowed him to be able to get through progressions. Even on a quick game that we had, he got across the board, found Dean Connors for a good check down that Dean ended up having a good catch and run. Then on one, we had a front side combination. He progressed to be able to hit CJ Daniels on an in cut, ended up hitting BP on kind of a crossing route on a 3-level throw off the play action. So there was a lot of really good illustrations of him just being able to play the play and be able to execute it, the way that Dave and the other guys are coaching him to be able to do it.
The Rams just shocked the NFL. Ty Simpson walked into his first NFL game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And instead of looking overwhelmed, the rookie looked like he belonged. Los Angeles walked away with a 2012 victory. But the score wasn't the biggest story. The biggest story was Simpson. He moved right. He moved left. He threw on the run. He settled into the pocket. And once he got a few completions, the nerves appeared to disappear. Then came the throws. That's a beautiful throw. That's a great read. That was the reaction. And suddenly, the controversial decision to take Simpson 13th overall doesn't look quite so strange. The Rams weren't supposed to need another quarterback this badly. They were already built to compete. But Los Angeles may have done something far more dangerous. They built for today while quietly preparing for tomorrow. And now, the NFL has to pay attention. But the score was only the beginning. The real shock came when the rookie showed he could actually command the offense. Sean McVay's evaluation was clear. Simpson showed great command. He worked through progressions. He involved multiple receivers. He moved the launch point. And the offensive line gave him opportunities to stay patient and make decisions. Most importantly, Simpson didn't try to force the game. When the defense gave him something, he took it. When the pocket moved, he adjusted. When a play wasn't there, he protected the football. That was especially obvious on the high snap. A bad snap can become a disaster in seconds. A young quarterback can panic, force a throw, and hand the defense points. Simpson did the opposite. He controlled the situation, threw the ball away, and accepted the punt. That is not the highlight everyone remembers. But for coaches, it may be one of the most important plays of the night. Because NFL quarterbacking isn't just about making spectacular throws. It's knowing when not to make the spectacular throw. And once Simpson established that discipline, the Rams' offense started opening up. Then the rookie stopped, simply managing the game. He started attacking it. Simpson wasn't given a meaningless cameo. He received 25 passing attempts. And as the game progressed, he became more confident, more aggressive, and more comfortable driving the football downfield. The Rams' momentum flipped after a defensive stop and a major return from Xavier Smith. Then came the offense. Simpson connected with Dean Connors. And suddenly, Los Angeles was putting real pressure on Kansas City. Connors finished the night with 2 touchdown receptions, including scores from 9 yards and 2 yards. And the Rams exploded for 14 fourth-quarter points, turning a 6-9 deficit into a 20-12 win. That's where this story becomes bigger than one rookie. The Rams showed balance. Defense created opportunities. Special teams changed field position. The offensive line protected. And Simpson delivered when his team needed him. That is exactly the environment you want around a young quarterback. He didn't have to carry everything. He simply had to execute. And he did. But perhaps the most revealing part came after the game, when Simpson explained what happened once the nerves finally disappeared. Think about the situation. First NFL game. First live NFL action against the Chiefs. And Ty Simpson admitted he didn't know exactly what to expect. But after that opening drive, something changed. He said he became more comfortable than he had ever been in a game, and suddenly it felt like playing football in the backyard. That mentality is exactly why the Rams drafted him. Not because one preseason game proves he's a franchise quarterback. It doesn't. But because the rookie showed the traits you cannot easily teach: composure, mobility, decision-making, confidence, and the willingness to learn. Simpson also made it clear that he is studying Matthew Stafford closely. He prepares as if he's going to play because, as he understands, one moment can change everything. If Stafford suddenly can't continue, Simpson has to step in. No excuse, no panic, no time to learn. He has to execute. And after what we just saw against Kansas City, maybe the Rams have more than a promising rookie. Maybe they have the beginning of their next era. The NFL wasn't expecting this much noise from Ty Simpson this early. But now, the warning has been delivered. The Rams are competing today, and they may already be building tomorrow.